lovely international student.
Hello guys.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Modar Alroomi, IS class president here at Tufts, graduating in 2 weeks. I graduated in 2015 from Iraq. I came to the States in 2017, did my board exams, shadowed in a clinic in San Diego. Afterward, I applied to Tufts, and here we go, graduating in 2 weeks. 1 week.
1 week. Okay. I asked some of you if you have any questions about applying to dental school process as an international student. So I would like to ask Modar what his process was like. I learned some fun facts. You do have to be a dentist in your home country for you to apply to dental schools.
Yes.
So he will now explain all about that.
So in order for you to somehow be able to practice dentistry in the States, there are a couple of ways. I mean, one of the ways is what Gloria did. You just go into the process of applying to dental school. For us, it's different. Like, if you are a dentist and you come to the States, you do have like a way of having a shortcut. First thing is what I did, in which you're gonna go into what we call an international student program or an advanced standing program, in which you're gonna actually join the regular students on the 3rd and 4th year. Now, in order for you to do this, you have to have a couple of things ahead of time, and that's the first option. The second option is actually something that you can do if you're a specialist. There's a couple of specialties that are actually accredited by the ADA. With this specialty, you can actually work in the state, in certain states, not all of them, with a limited license. The third thing is you can do what we call an advanced faculty IS program. So you can actually work in a school and you can be a faculty in there for, I think, 5 to 7 years, and then you will be automatically accredited the DND or the DDS. The last option that you have, if you want to do the GBR, like for example, if you want to AEGD, and it will not grant you the DDS or the DMD, but it will give you a certificate which you can work in certain states. I'm going to talk about my experience. I started a journey by applying to the MBDE, the board exams. Part 1 and 2 before. Right now you have the integrated one, so you have to do it. And you have to do the TOEFL exam, which tests your English. The process starts by you actually, first of all, getting your transcript or your diploma from back home. And you need to somehow send it to an agency. They will take a look at it and they will just send it back to you with a different way. So technically they'll just make sure that it will be the same transcript at any school here in the States. After that, you register for the exam. Go into a website and you apply to what we call My Dent Pen. Dent Pen is like an account that will stay with you. Build a profile, and I wanted them to send the results, and I wanted them to notify the Massachusetts, like the society, the dental board, and you start application. The application is done on a website, on the ADA CAPIT website. Do a profile, and then this profile is going to be shared with a couple of schools. Most of these schools will be on the CAPIT. Some schools will have their own application. Out of, I think, 61 schools in the States, 34 or 32 schools do have the IS or the Advanced Standing Program. Usually they start the application cycle March and it stays till January. Now, each school will have their own requirements, their own prerequisites. For example, for the TOEFL score, some schools will need you to have a score of 100. Some schools will actually ask you for a score of 80 to apply. This is a very competitive process. You need to have good scores. What's going to differentiate you from others is your scores and the extracurriculum thing, the stuff that you can do in the States or back home. In the States, you can, for example, doing research. Research is going to help you application to stand out from the others, observe or shadow a dentist, and this is what I do. The main point is that you have to show the school that you're applying to that you're very passionate about dentistry. You have to let them know you're a great asset for this school. They'll send an email, they'll tell you you have been selected, you'll have an interview. Now, Some of the schools had bench test, which is an exam that you go to the school and they ask you to do a filling, they ask you to do a prep. It's not all of the schools, but there are schools that don't require that.
Did you do one?
I did, yeah, I did. At Tufts we do have like, it's not like a real bench test, but it's, yeah, actually it is.
What to do?
Am I allowed to disclose this today? Yeah. So technically, they get you in. They
Something
actually
dental.
something dental. You have to. So the whole idea. No, I don't think so. No, it's not hard.
You don't have to set teeth for dental?
No, not set teeth. No,
Okay,
you have to
don't
do
set teeth.
fillings. You have to
Oh, okay.
actually do preps.
Okay.
And each school is different from the other.
Before you get accepted?
Before you get accepted, that's a part of the process.
That's a lot of things we'll jump through. Okay.
Yeah, you get the interview, you go into the interview, you get accepted, and that's it. They tell you to move to the state or move to the city that the school is at, and you start the journey.
And now here he is. Wow! And just letting you know, the interview process can be either through Zoom right now because of COVID,
Yes.
or sometimes it can just be online interview, or they make you come.
Due to the fact that we have the COVID nowadays, definitely ask you to do the interview online virtually. They would ask you to come into the school, they will give you a tour in the school, they will do the bench test if there is a bench test, and they will ask you to wait for the reply, and basically, yeah, that's the process.
Like when's the latest you can find out whether you got accepted?
Each school have a different protocol of like doing it. Some schools will tell you 2 weeks after, some schools will tell you 4 months, 6 months after, it depends.
So tell me a little bit about this ECE.
ECE is an agency that will help you to have your transcript read or to have your transcript made in the same way that it's made here in the States.
First step costs $195.
$195 is how much they will take. And just make sure that when you apply to it, do the course by course.
And it translates whatever course you took in your class to a US equivalent. So that's a very important one.
Exactly. That's the whole point of it.
How did you plan your finances? Like, how was that for you? You said that you came to the US to assist for a whole year.
Yeah.
Is that necessary? You know.
I had like free time in which I was like, okay, you know what? It might be a good idea to shadow. Not to only help you with the application, but to also maintain the skills. When you have a gap, like for example, you came to the state in 2015, let's say, and you worked different jobs at dentistry, they will ask you why did you do that, because they want to see a person who's very passionate about dentistry. They want to see a person who is going to do well. They don't want to see someone who has been away from dentistry for a while, because as you guys know, once you don't use the handpiece for a bit, it goes like all the skills, everything is gonna go away. So,
Ambition.
yeah, but is it a must to do a shadowing or to observe it? No, it's not a must, but it's gonna help you. Like for example, you have a high GPA, and then I have a high GPA. We apply to the school. Only thing that's gonna help me to have or to stand out other than the other person is anything extra than the GPA. Like for example, a research, a master. You worked in the community, you helped out, you worked voluntarily. Like volunteers are something that the schools really look at, because it shows how you're considered as a team player, because you're helping others, and that's what they look for. Yep.
So what did you do for your application?
For my application,
As a star
my
student.
my story is different. My story, as I told you guys, I graduated from Iraq. I had the opportunity in which I opened or I established an organization back home. It was an NGO, non-governmental organization. And the goal of that organization is to help others. At the beginning, the goal was to acknowledge the society about oral health and all of these things. But due to the fact that we had a lot of things that happened back home, we had a lot of refugees. And the least thing that I was able to do as a dentist is to help these refugees. So we had an agenda. Luckily, our organization had a mobile dental clinic in which we used to go to the refugee camps. We used to provide them with a dental treatments. Yes, and because at the end of the day, like you being a dentist is not only a matter of doing the job. It's like You're passionate. You're gonna help others. You need to show the others that you care about them, and that's the least thing that I could do. I feel like this helped me a lot.
And what did you write about in your personal statement? Because it's not like, I want to be a dentist because you already won. So what do you write about?
So the personal statement, it's actually a tricky thing because you already have your application. The personal statement is actually things about you. What are your hobbies? And a smart thing to do is to correlate these hobbies, these things that you do on a daily basis, to dentistry. For example, I love art. I play piano, and I wrote this in my personal statement, and I somehow correlated it to dentistry because I use these, right? Exactly. So you have to show who you are to the people that are applying.
What's the question prompt? Because, for example, as someone that was pre-dental, applying dental school, the question is, why do you want to become a dentist? But for you guys, it'd be, why do you want to be a U.S. dentist, right? So
Yes.
how do you answer that?
A lot of us had their own sacrifices, stories. I mean, like a lot of people would come in because they feel like they've reached a plateau in their life that they cannot exceed. So they would come to the States and they would somehow live the American dream. Some other people are just coming from back home because they don't feel safe. Other people are coming because they pay well here in the States. Like
They do
each
pay
one, it's different. Like you just have to know what you want, and that's exactly right.
But you don't say at the interview, like, I came here so I can make more money in this country.
You have to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you have. I mean, but you don't have to listen in a way. Hey, I'm into money. I only care about money. But they already know. Like they already know. A lot of people would come in here because dentistry is very good in the States, and this is a fact. A lot of guidelines that we follow is guidelines based on American schools. A lot of these guidelines is based on the ADA. If you're not satisfied with what you're doing, I think like coming to the state is gonna somehow satisfy your, I don't know, like how do you call it? Satisfy your dreams, maybe?
Dreams.
Dreams. That's one of the factors, to be honest. No.
Yeah, okay. Like, tell me about the class size and like what you did to do research on the 30-something schools that do accept international applicants.
Each school again would have a different way of doing the program. Like some schools, they have I think like 80 spots available for the IS students.
That's BU.
That's other schools like our school, they only provide 30 spots. For me, I applied to a couple of schools. I didn't apply to all the schools because I knew where I'm going. I go to school that is in a city that I like, and Tufts is one of them because, I mean, Boston is one of the cities that you really have to visit. It's a must, like you have to. And for me to be able to live here and to enjoy my lifestyle, it's really a privilege. Now, putting in mind that Tufts is one of the best schools in the whole States, because they have, at that point when I did my research, their clinical program is one of the best clinical programs in the whole state. So it depends upon what you want. My advice is that do not stick to one option. Like try to be somehow flexible. Apply for others because it's very competitive.
What do you think is like the minimum GPA cutoff?
There is no minimum. That's the other thing. It depends upon the school. I know people who had a GPA of like 4, and they still didn't get accepted. So, are you going to be a good team player? Are you going to be a good fit for the program? These are the things that they will care about.
Your sister's here.
Yes, I don't.
I would like to add that Tufts only accepts green card holders. So every school's different, so do your research.
You have to be updated. You have to call or email or look into the school's website. Look into the requirements. Because some schools, for example, only requested MBD Part 1. Other schools requested MBD Part 1 and 2.
And then what about loans? Tell me about loans.
Loans. You can, in my case, I had the green card, so it was easy for me to apply for loans, and I applied for the federal loans. And you do have the option of applying to like private loans.
How many schools did you apply to?
7 or 8, I think. Yeah.
This was your favorite?
That was actually my favorite, and also The first school that I got accepted at. Yeah. I actually the second. Yeah, the second I think, yeah. Because if you start applying in March, they call you, for example at Tufts, they called me in August to do the interview. Other schools called me in December, in which it was already too late because I already moved to Boston and I already started the program. So
Did I cover everything?
I think you did. I think more than we needed to.
Well, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Gloria, for having me.
Would you be willing to answer some questions for anyone else or anything else that I did not apparently cover?
Are you gonna pay me?
I paid you with lunch.
Yeah, definitely. It would be my pleasure. And I mean, if they want to reach me out, I'll be
IG.
around.
I will put it somewhere in this video.
So yeah.
Follow him.
So yeah, let me know if you have anything, and if any other, like if you have any questions, we can cover it maybe next time.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yay! Thank you. Subscribe to this channel.